Welcome back to Spider-Man Life Story. This is Comicstorian, where we take some of your favorite comic books, movies, and video games, and we break down the storylines into a complete story, where we tell you what happened within it, and we give it to you in a narrative format. Today, we're going to be covering the 6th issue of Spider-Man Life Story, and what this storyline is what if Spider-Man was born in the 60s and he lived to today? How would all of the known storylines fit into that puzzle? When we last left off, he was joining the Civil War, and it was the mid-2000s. And today, we're going to be going to the late 2010s. I hope you guys have enjoyed this series, and if you have, please give this video a like and subscription, and let's get into it. I've been having the same dream lately, Peter says. He's a teenager again, walking down the hallway in his Spider-Man costume when the robber goes running fast. MJ stops him mid-story, telling him other people's dreams are boring. It's 2019. Miles Morales stands near them, politely interrupting their moment to let them know that it's time to leave. The kids come over, with Benji letting Peter know that the component will take 5 minutes to charge after they install it, and Claire once again wishing Peter would let her come. "You know I need you to stay behind, protect your brother and your mother," Peter tells her once again. Miles and Peter board the spacecraft, and the two blast off. It's been almost a decade since Victor Von Doom took advantage of the heroes fighting against each other in the Civil War. A decade since he became the ruler. I'll say this about Doom. He designs a solid spacecraft, Peter notes as they enter the Earth's atmosphere. Peter goes over the plan once again. He and Miles will dock with Tony's old space lab, and they'll attach to the Doomsday device, which will send a pulse that knocks out all of Doom's tech around the world, giving the Resistance the fighting chance that they need. They board the space station quietly, moving through the corridors with Miles leading the way, and finally they find the station and Peter begins to install the component, cracking jokes the whole time. "Enough jokes, Parker! We're on the clock!" Miles grumbles at him, bringing a strange look from Peter. "Miles, you're gonna have to take it down a notch before..." He begins, but stops as the lights suddenly go down in the station. Miles starts working on the backup power as Peter takes off, determined to find out what's going on. He stops, staring into space to see their ship destroyed and drifting away. "Miles, protect the machine! We have visitors!" Peter yells over his shoulder. Strange noises come from further in the station, and Peter begins to move forward, slowly. "Peter Parker," a voice whispers from the darkness. "We once told you that we'd go to the ends of the earth to hunt you," the voice hisses as Kraven, in the Venom suit, leaps out of the shadows. He lashes out, his claws cutting through Parker's helmet as if it's nothing. He throws Peter away, the helmet shattering from below. And suddenly Miles is there fighting against the monster. "Ah yes, the little spider. We were going to wait to hunt you until you were more of a challenge," he hisses. "You'll find that I'm more than enough for you, Sergey," Miles yells, landing blow after blow. But Kraven grabs him by the head, his claws sinking into the helmet. The symbiote begins to slip inside of Miles when suddenly he pauses. "Oh, this is rich. Well done, old friend." Kraven chuckles, and behind him, Peter suddenly attacks, using a sonic boom from his web slinger, knocking the symbiote off of Kraven. All that falls to the floor is a shattered skeleton, kept alive by Venom for decades. Miles is shocked, and Peter nods. "All my enemies are dead. Isn't that right, Otto?" Peter says, turning towards Miles. They stare at each other when suddenly, Miles launches an attack. Peter is quick, dodging the webbing and kicking. They bounce around the corridor, trying to land blows. Their spider senses allowing them to dodge quickly, but Miles is younger and faster, and he slams Peter against a wall. "Your performance as Miles was perfect! How did you do it?" he demands. Peter grunts under the attack, telling him, "I saw little things like calling Kraven Sergey." But Otto tells him that he meant to replace Peter, but he was getting too old. "Well, this young man has his entire life ahead of him," Otto tells him. He was working with Doom until Doom turned on him, so he took over Miles' body. "I'm the hero now, superior to all of you," Otto tells him. Otto smiles, telling Peter that he could beat him out of Miles' body, but prefers to beat him with his mind. And with that, the two are melded. Peter finds himself in a strange place. Otto, the real Otto, stands before Peter, telling him that he will destroy his mind. "I'm going to take over your brain like I did the young Miles. I'm going to pound you into dust," he tells him, and suddenly the Sinister Six launch themselves at Peter. "You and what army?" Peter asks, and a swarm of Spider-Men are at his side, fighting with him. The groups fight with Peter launching himself at Otto, and suddenly the groups are gone and a much younger Otto, giant in size, is looming over Peter. No more tricks up your sleeve, any more jokes? Or are you finally ready to? Otto stops, and he can sense her. Aunt May stands before him, staring up at the man. Otto, what have you done? She asks. You were always so angry at the future. I loved you, but you could never accept the world around you or your own limitations. She tells him, sadness in her eyes. Otto looks at her, his eyes brimming with tears, telling her that it's not fair that she died. But May smiles, placing her hand on his cheek. No, what's not fair is taking a young man's life so that you can correct your mistakes. You lived your life. I lived mine. You want to be a hero now? Let Miles go. Let your hatred for Peter go. It was never a competition for my love. She holds Otto close and he tells her that he's scared. It'll be okay, Otto. Trust me, she tells him. And with those words, the image of Otto disappears, drifting away in green smoke. Peter stands before the memory of his aunt. She knew what Otto wanted, and now he asks if she knows what he wants. What you want is to save Ben, but you can't. So save everyone else. You realized years ago that it will never change, so you embraced it. So go, Peter. Save everyone, she tells him. Peter snaps back as he and Miles are about to be sucked out into space, and he shoots webbing, yanking them back inside. He webs up the exploding station, trying to buy himself time as he carries Miles to the escape pod, and Otto starts to come too as Peter sees that there's only one pod. So he shoves the villain into the pod. Here's the deal, Otto. Somebody's got to stick around and make sure that this works. Be a hero. Give Miles his life back. Promise me, promise May. He tells him, and Otto tries to protest, telling him that he can help, but Peter launches the pod, standing in the burning station as that pod is rocketing to Earth. He webs the station, trying to hold it together, as the doomsday device continues to power up, and he holds. He holds with all of his might, but his webbing is running out, and the station is falling apart as the device chimes for 40 seconds. I'm sorry, Aunt May. I wish I could have been stronger, he thinks to himself, staring out into the abyss of space, when suddenly air stops and the room is darkened. He stares as the symbiote covers the hole, a spider symbol on it from its time as a hero showing. And Peter, he closes his eyes. He sees himself sitting on a bed, staring into the eyes of Mary Jane, and they're young again. I think I did it. I think everything's going to be all right, he tells her, and he asks her if the kids are going to be all right, and she nods. She tells him that she's not going anywhere. The doomsday device activates, sending its pulse over Earth, giving the resistance a fighting chance against doom. And MJ smiles, Peter leaning down to kiss her. You're my heart, Mary Jane Watson. You're my jackpot, he tells her. And the station explodes. And that concludes the entire life story of Spider-Man if it started in the 60s and ended in 2019. All of the key players in the Spider-Man mythos showed up. All the cool stuff happened. And if you didn't see the rest of the story and you just saw this ending, well, I tell you right now, the first 5 episodes and the first 5 issues of the story are still worth checking out. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit that like button. I'll see you guys next time right here at the Comicstorian channel.